Coming up on this week's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update, they're ripping off the labels. How hundreds raise rape awareness with a shocking headline.
Also, getting lost isn't always a bad thing. How Adel Farms ring in autumn coming up.
From the College of Mass Communications on the campus of Texas Tech University, this is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of your MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Sophia Halbrook.
And I'm Brittany Escobar. Yes means yes and no means no. Nearly 300 people joined a Lubbock rally spreading an important message. I caught up with some of the supporters. Here in a few minutes, people will walk 15 blocks here down 19th Street and end on Avenue Q, all walking to stop victim blaming.
The truth is, the word slut is in everybody's daily vocabulary. Everybody uses it.
Amanda Evans, a supporter of Slut Walk, says people should be aware of the way they use the term.
When we're trying to call attention to its use and use it in an empowering situation, then all of a sudden people have a problem with it.
Slut Walks began in April as a reaction to a remark made by a Toronto law officer who said women should avoid dressing like sluts in order to not be victimized. Over 100 walks have taken place throughout the world.
I think that sends a great message. Even in Lubbock, Texas, you have 100 folks or more. I still don't know what the final turnout's going to be. We're expecting about 100.
Kenny Kettner, co-organizer of Lubbock Slut Walk, says the turnout surpassed their expectation with nearly 300 people walking.
I feel like it's important for victims not to be blamed for what happens. Like, I've been a victim and I know what it feels like to have people say, like, well, what were you doing? And that's irrelevant.
Slut walkers began the walk with signs, chants, and strong voices. Ashley Duran, along with her family, says she walks for those who aren't yet ready to speak up.
I'm a survivor of rape and sexual abuse, and I want my kids and my family growing up knowing that it's not okay and that we stand against it. I was 12, it's my rapist's fault, not mine. And his says, let's see yours, baby. Yeah. Real men don't rape. And this one says, my mom is a survivor, not a slut.
Duran shared her story with supporters after the walk.
The question, why am I here, is to help those who are going through the pain that I know all too well.
All walkers shared a common message for victims of sexual abuse.
Society teaches, don't get raped rather than don't rape. So that's a pretty important thing that we want to bring to everybody's attention.
The bottom line is it's not your fault.
This is the first Slut Walk in Lubbock and is part of an international movement. Reporting from Central Lubbock, I'm Brittany Escobar, MCTV News.
What started out as a simple joyride for a few has now wheeled into a charity gathering. Students met in Tech Terrace on October 18th to participate in Tour de Tech's 16th biannual tour. Bikes, music, and beverages are just a few things the students provide.
It's a great atmosphere. There's a lot of camaraderie between tech fans and tech students, and it's a great way to meet new people.
Riders are asked to bring canned goods to donate to the South Plains Food Bank. Last year's spring tour brought in 1,500 pounds. If you missed the joyride this season, a 17th tour is likely to take place next spring. Don't you just love the changing colors of the fall?
I do, and I love pumpkin spice lattes. That's right, Halloween's right around the corner, and Thomas Lott guides us through the corn maze.
Halloween is just around the corner, and that means people of Lubbock are making their way out to the corn maze at Adel Farms. This is the 11th season the maze has been open, and people just keep coming back. Patty Smith and her husband have been running the corn maze and serving their many customers since its creation.
Total attendance for our whole 12-week season, we'll have about 40,000 people.
Tickets for the maze are $8, and children under the age of 4 get in for free. Adel Farms offers even more for students at Texas Tech as they partner with TAB and RHA for a free event on October 27th from 7 to 9 p.m. Students can come out and see all the maze has to offer, including their pumpkin patch and barnyard animals. Mrs. Smith said the reason they have been so successful is the simplicity of the farm, and they hope people will come out to experience the satisfaction it has brought to her family.
People come out here and they're seeing the sunset, they see the stars at night, and that's just kind of our hope, is that we're providing a unique environment for people to have a good time.
With MCTV News, I'm Thomas Lott.
And the weather's starting to feel more fall-like. High winds and falling temps cooled down our long summer, with lows dipping into the 30s after a large cold front blew across the South Plains. Meteorologists don't expect temps to reach the 90s again till next year, but with this unpredictable West Texas weather, anything can happen.
Students fill the grounds outside the Jones Stadium days before the highly anticipated final game versus A&M. In order to secure first-choice seating at the game, students had to routinely check in between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. Whoever could check in the earliest and most frequently scored the best seats at the game. Raderville Mayor Colton Ansel said a lot of little details went into managing Raderville, like getting porta potties out there, figuring out wristband distribution, and organizing student check-ins. The mayor is aware that classes and work schedules take first priority for students.
We don't do any kind of check-in or evaluation of who's here during the day. That way people don't have an excuse to miss class. We let people go to class, go to work. People have commitments that they need to take care of, and Raderville shouldn't be a priority above that.
Around 600 students gathered at Raderville by the time the Saturday game rolled around. Students stayed in their tents through rain and shine, day and night, to witness what is probably Tech's last showdown against the Aggies.
What if a trip to the post office meant a trip to the next town? Olivia Dickinson takes us to some West Texas neighbors who may have to do that.
Whit-Harrell residents are fighting to save one of the only remaining businesses they have left in town, their post office.
We need our post office.
Due to the U.S. Postal Service's $5.5 billion debt, Whit-Harrell's post office landed itself on the list of nearly 3,700 facilities that might be cut. Whit-Harrell resident and owner of the only other business in town, Jan Anderson, worries that without a post office, it'll be harder to take care of things we take for granted, like mailing a letter or paying a bill.
And if the post office leaves, we won't have any way to mail our packages or receive checks or do our personal mailing unless we drive 11 miles to Littlefield or 11 miles to Loveland.
When comparing the empty Whit-Harrell post office to a busy one in Lubbock, it may seem like a post office in this small town isn't necessary, but Whit-Harrell Superintendent Ed Sharp says it's not so much the loss of service, but the meaning behind it.
I think it's more of a mindset. I think it's just a deal of pride thing and losing what we have.
Last week, Bobby Eubanks, regional manager of post office operations, held a town meeting to inform the residents of the proposed cut.
Superintendent Ed Sharp said citizens who attended the meeting held here last week were just as confused leaving as they were when they walked in.
I felt like he had his mind made up. He was just pacifying us, patting us on the back and telling us it'd be okay, like we were little children.
The post office cuts won't be announced for a couple of weeks, but the folks who live in Whit-Harrell are ready to file an appeal if necessary.
They're not going to go down without a fight.
Unfortunately, Bobby Eubanks did not return any of our calls. You can follow news about the closings at about.usps.com/news. For MCTV, I'm Olivia Dickinson.
Football, soccer, volleyball, they're all great. But one of the best teams at Tech you've probably never even heard of. Lisa Breskus has your ticket to the livestock show.
Despite a recent win at the National Barrow Show in Minnesota, Tech's livestock judging team is wasting no time in preparing for the biggest competition of them all, the National Championship. The livestock judging team's third national championship in 2009 marks the 23rd national title for the Department of Animal and Food Sciences teams. Students on the livestock judging team spend hours every week practicing judging sheep, swine, and cattle for competitions nationwide.
The Texas Tech livestock judging team sees sheep like these on a day-to-day basis. They meet at the South Plains Fair once a year to judge these sheep on structure, frame, and muscling.
Senior Clayton Gardner talked about his experience on the team and how much he has learned from it.
I think that really is going to help me. I'm sure the rest of my team and the rest of their lives and all the decisions they have to make and the challenges they have to overcome.
The New Mexican said he isn't trying to play favorites, but growing up on a ranch, one animal holds a special place in his heart.
Definitely a cattle kid, and it's either way, I like looking at heifers or bulls. It's what my family did, so it's when I go get to look at them, it's probably easier to me. It comes easier to me, but it's a lot more fun as well.
Students on the team are not just there for a good time. Senior Lonnie Woolley spoke of the hard but important lessons she has learned while on the team.
And it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through to realize, I'm doing something that I'm not the best at, and so I think that's the best thing that's happened to me through livestock judging. It's really humbled me.
The team's coach, Dr. Ryan Rathman, said being a part of students' lives and success is well worth the time-consuming work.
They're probably the deepest team that I've ever had the fortune of coaching, and so I hope that they can close it out at the national championship and win that.
The team will compete to win the national title at the International Livestock Exposition in Louisville, Kentucky, come November 14th. For MCTV, I'm Lisa Bruskus.
Sophie, have you ever shown animals?
As a matter of fact, when I was in high school, I used to show goats. It was awesome. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching our MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Sophia Halbrook.
And I'm Brittany Escobar, and we hope you have a great week.